Good afternoon. Today we're going to have a quick look at how to write a proposal, and this is for the Cambridge Advanced Exam, and the book that I'll be using is the book that we're using for the course, which is the CAE Result book. There's a guide to how to write a proposal on page number 164, which will probably also be useful to have a look at. Okay, so let's get straight into it. A proposal is, as it's an advanced exam, is going to be 220 to 260 words. And this will be one of your options, or this may be one of your options in part 2 of the exam. You'll have several choices, and a proposal might be one of the options that you get to choose. A proposal is relatively simple, in my opinion. You're fairly direct, and you use an impersonal voice. It's going to be written in a formal style. Okay, so when it comes to actually structuring the piece, you need to have 4 or 5 different parts. You need a separate introduction and a separate conclusion. The other 2 or 3 paragraphs are going to include your actual suggested activities. A proposal will ask you to write usually about one of 2 things. It will ask you to propose some ideas for an event, or some activities for an event, or it could ask you to suggest ways to improve facilities to, for example, your university or a local town facility. It needs to be fairly functional, so we're going to look at how to do this. First of all, the title. You should have a title in the middle of the page, and this should be a functional title. Proposal on how to improve the town's leisure facilities, for example, or proposals for activities for the upcoming Catalan gastronomy fair. Okay, so after you've got your title, which is very simple, you move on to your introduction. Your introduction just needs to say what you're going to do in the proposal. So this, again, can be very functional, and you can copy something like this. The aim of this proposal is to suggest entertaining ways which would educate young people and present some ideas as to how this could be achieved. So just to paraphrase, you're saying, I'm going to make some suggestions and how we could make these suggestions work, or why these suggestions would work. Okay, the next 2 or 3 paragraphs are going to be about your ideas. So this will depend on whether you're writing about an event or whether you're writing about proposals of how to improve something. But here's some ideas of how to get some different grammatical structures into these paragraphs. First of all, you can use a reduced clause that we've been looking at recently using the present participle. An example of this is creating a display about dinosaurs would help people learn in an interactive way. So we're using our present participle to name the activity, and then we're saying what the result of that would be. This is a very effective way of communicating this. Remember, you can include suggest or recommend, should always be followed by a gerund. I recommend having a display about dinosaurs. I suggest including some information for children, for example. Also, you can use your modals of obligation and advice. So these are very simple. We need to encourage people to look more deeply, or we should help people to understand, very simple. Another thing you could include would be an inversion. Here's a nice example of an inversion. Not only would a dinosaur display educate people, it would also be interesting for young children. So we're using the not only, would, and then would repeated. Again, have a look at your grammar guide for inversions to have a few more examples of those. Okay, so having written your examples, you'll move on to your conclusion, and your conclusion should just say that if you follow my suggestions, this should be a successful event, or this should help improve facilities. A useful phrase which, you can just memorize and copy is, I hope these suggestions are useful in achieving these aims. I believe that if they are followed, the event would be very successful. Okay, so that's how to conclude. I think that's all for a proposal. I hope that helps. Thanks very much for watching.